Hello everyone, this is Muhammad Tuhami from Midway Simplicity and welcome to a new episode of the Midway Simplicity Show. And the theme of this show in 2014 is where passion meets simplicity. How passion can lead to simple living and how simple living can enable passion. And my very special guest and friend today is Joel Zaslofsky from Value of Simple. And he has a big surprise today to talk about. He is making kind of a revolution in the simple living sphere. He will turn it upside down and sideways. So we will talk about that definitely. But before that, let me welcome Joel. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Tohami, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks.
Upside down. Hopefully, I won't turn it inside out. Although I am all about turning some things inside out, from the physical to the internal, external, internal. That's a big thing for me. Maybe we'll get into some of that.
Yes, definitely we will. Now, let me ask you, how did you discover your passion? And we were just talking about simplicity. The Simple Living blog sphere is promoting the message of getting rid of stuff, don't focus on stuff, focus on your life more, and so on. And then when you hear the tips and advice on how to simplify your life, it goes back to the stuff again. You have to get rid of your stuff and so on. So the focus is shifted back to the stuff and it overwhelms people. So to balance this feeling, it's not about the stuff, it's about the joy, the enjoyment. So we are talking passion here. What do you love to do? What do you enjoy to do? So tell us from your life, how did you discover your passion about simplicity and about, you have some financial background as well. So how did you find your passion basically? And how did simple living enable that passion more and more?
It did. I don't have a singular passion. I have passions, of which simplicity is way up towards the top. I used to work for over a decade in corporate America. I worked in the financial industry and dealing with lots of people's money. So I get home and I'm working to make money, and then I'm at work and it's all about other people's money, and it's just money, money, money all the time. And I realized in about April 2010, when my wife Melinda told me that she was pregnant with our first son, Grant, that I was 30 years old and I really didn't have any kind of legacy. And I wanted to do something valuable to somebody other than me or my immediate community. So what I needed to do, I didn't know it at the time, but after about a year of soul searching and reading websites and listening to podcasts, I realized that simplicity would allow me to reduce the influence of external forces on my life. So the feeling that I needed to have a certain lifestyle based upon making a certain paycheck. After I got rid of that, and realizing that it was societal norms or advertising campaigns that were trying to convince me that I wanted these things, then things started to get a little bit easier. And it all started with simplifying. How do you remove the excess of life so that you can let in a lot more of what you truly want? And figuring out what you truly want is one of simplicity's greatest gifts, because as you start to strip away those layers that people or other things put on top of you, you realize who you are and what you want. So simplicity has really helped me find my passion, which is simplify, organize, and be money wise. I love those three things, and of course bringing people together.
Wow, simplify, organize, and be money wise.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. And of course, you said something very nice, that simplicity gives you the gift of clarity, maybe, and it helps you to find your passion, to find more about your passion and how to pursue it. So tell us, how did you make use of the empty room and the financial independence that simplicity offered you, and how that helped you to gain more clarity about your passion and what exactly you want to do with it?
Well, I think the first thing was, I don't want to keep going back into the past because I love the present and I'm super excited for the future, yours, mine, and everyone else's. But to answer your question about simplicity and the how, which is of course really important. The why is something that I always start with. Why do you want to pursue a simple life? You don't do it just because it sounds nice or because your friends are doing it. You do it because it resonates internally with you, and you want to have an environment in which you can be intentional. But for me, that was something that, and this is a little bit difficult to explain, but I go back to 2012, March 2012, which is when I quit my corporate job. And I started as an entrepreneur, making literally $0 for a number of months. I wasn't exactly trying to make money, but it's a big shift when you do everything for money, at least from a work perspective, to when you do everything for passion or to try to provide value in other people's lives. So really going from this mindset of I need to provide for my family, I need to fulfill certain expectations that I think are my own, but that are actually projected upon me by other people. Being able to simplify my environment, both my physical environment and more importantly, my mental and emotional environment, really gave me that clarity that we were talking about, which says, okay, me, like deep inside of me, I feel that as a human being, it is my almost ancestral right to lead a simple existence. So if there's all of these things that are trying to complicate and add complexity to my life, how can I bring things back to a simple life that I know as a human being for hundreds of thousands of years or however long you think we go back has provided us with fulfillment, happiness, and all of the good things. So it's really about going back to my humble roots and realizing that that was where a lot of the good things and the value was going to come from.
Yeah, that's very true. And, you know, we always say that the world these days is hungry for simplicity. Do you think they are hungry for simplicity's sake, or because they are too much detached from the voice of their heart and they are hungry to go back to their roots and listen to themselves and listen to what's going inside them and express themselves in the best way they aspire for?
Yeah, there's this massive disconnect in the past couple hundred years between what we know we want versus what other people have convinced us that we want. I don't want to bash advertisers and other people too much here. They're not solely responsible for a lot of the things that we experience. But it's, I think you nailed it right on the head, is that we're not pursuing this just because it sounds good. If you want to have a home which is free of clutter, why? Why do you want to do that? So that when you have friends over, the focus can be on the interaction between your friends as opposed to the stuff that's around there. I mean, are you laying out your newest technology on the table so that you can impress somebody? Or do you want to impress somebody with your character and with your words? For me, I like to keep a Spartan environment because when I'm interacting with somebody, whether that's my wife or my two sons, I want the focus to be on us, not on the things that surround us. And I feel that the less I have and the less I can feel content with, the more and better my interactions are with human beings. And that's where I get the joy. That's where I provide value to other people, is in that interaction. So being able to simplify, whether it's to entertain people or whether it's to have a healthier relationship with money, whether it's to pursue mindfulness and just say meditate for 10 minutes a day. These are the things that simplicity enables. It's not just something that you do just because it sounds nice.
Yeah, that's very true. And let's get in more depth to the secret we would like to share today, and the great thing that you are doing, because one of the things that can enable passion and also simplicity is not to work alone, but get involved in a community. And so simple living is now stand-alone islands, and there is nothing that puts people in a community format where we all work together for the same purpose and give each other support that we need to pursue our journey towards simplicity and at the same time towards clarity and passion and fulfilling our heart desires. And you are doing great think about that, and you will do something that will rock the world of simple living very soon. So give us a hint about that and
Sure.
some
Well,
insights. Yeah.
you have alluded to something that it's not just me. When I say the word I, it's not me. There's this thing I call simple rev, and simple rev has triple meaning because a double meaning is not enough, right? You need to have a triple. So I am creating, at least in North America, the first national and hopefully international event. It's a 2-day event in early October 2014, so October 3rd and 4th, here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, around simplicity. This is the kind of thing that I've wanted to go to for years as part of the simple living community, and that we simple living advocates don't have an event, a flag that we can plant in the ground and rally around, an individual place. So Simple Rev, which Rev means revival, as in what I alluded to before, which is I feel that we need to have a revival of the simplicity that benefited us for so many years as human beings. And at the same time, we can use modern technology and conveniences and all the wonderful things that are going on in the 21st century to have a revolution in simplicity, to give it a new look that allows us to take the best of what we currently have and then look back upon the past as something that we can revive. And then the third part of rev is in like a motor, action oriented, because you and we've been to a lot of events where the focus is on hearing people talk, but not necessarily doing things. And I want people who are engaged in Simple Rev, not just as an event, but also people who are supporting from afar, which I definitely want as well, to have the ability to take action, to do something as a result of how they want to practice simplicity or how they want to be engaged in a community. Because right now, the community feels like it's just spread out all over the place. But I would like to create a physical place where real magic happens when people get together in person for 2 days of intense workshops on simple eating, simple self-sufficiency, whether that's living off the land or living in a tiny house. Anything that you can do, you can simplify. And by drawing people in to share their story, to share a skill that they have, and to teach the community how to do it differently or better, this is what I feel like the future of simplicity looks like, by being able to bring people into something like Simple Rev and then figure out what happens.
Wow, I'm looking forward to that event. It's going to be great, I'm sure, because when you build a community, people feel that they are not alone and that they share a lot with others, sharing successes and sharing failures as well, and sharing challenges and all this stuff. So it's great to have the community together at least once a year, if not every other month. Which is going to be great, like the Simple Rev Club, and you get people to meet every month or so in wherever they exist in the world and share their simplicity journey together and so on. So that would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, there's a real push. I mean, initially doing it annually seemed appropriate, especially because I'm looking to have 200 plus people. And it takes a lot of work to pull off a live 2-day event for 200 plus people. But it would be great if this grew. Something you and a guy named Scott Dinsmore of Live Your Legend, he's turned his revolution into almost like a Toastmasters-like chapter where people are meeting monthly. Soon people will be meeting every other week to live your legend and pursue your passion. Surround yourself with the people that empower you to do things that you previously thought were impossible. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to help people do what they think is impossible, but I want them to do what they feel like they can do and what will add that simplicity to their lives. So first annual, then we'll see how it goes from there.
Awesome. And now, one of the things that simplicity allows people to, or how simplicity enables passion, is the financial independence part. And you gave us a hint about that. But since you talked about being money-wise, so one of the things that I tell people who would like to pursue their passion is to focus on creating like a saving account to back them up when they leave their corporate jobs and have, zero income and get rid of the paycheck, so they can survive and maintain their lifestyle for some time, and hopefully simplicity increase their financial independence, and the amount of money that they saved can, help them to survive longer than they used to be. So can you give us a little bit of techniques or practical tips of how simplicity can help us save more money and how it can increase our financial independence?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. I mean, there's two things that you can do with money. You can save it or you can spend it. So simplicity helps you with both. Simplicity helps you identify needs versus wants versus desires. And then you act upon the things that you need. That's not to say we're depriving ourselves of luxuries or of things like travel or other wonderful experiences that bring us a lot of value or that help other people. I'm not trying to tell people not to spend money. Money's not inherently bad. It's just what people do with it, and the drive to get it is what clouds people's judgment and allows us to pursue things that we might not otherwise do. So saving more is just a matter of, and I do this through Excel, and I also do this through a program called Quicken, where I have all my personal finances, and my wife and I, we have a monthly session where we sit down and we budget. We budget for the year, and then we figure out every hour on a Saturday, where are we with our budget in various categories for the kids, for discretionary funds. So I have two tips for people. One, if you don't feel like you're living a simple life, watch more of Tohami, and he's going to bring on guests that are going to give you the perspective and the mindset and the tools that you need in order to get there so that you can figure out what it is that you truly need. The second one is have a budget. You don't necessarily need to pinch pennies or pounds or whatever it is that you do, but the self-awareness that you get by declaring a budget. And when you're talking about a budget and what you're going to be spending, it's not just from a abstract perspective. You're basically putting priorities on various facets of your life by putting together a budget. You're declaring, this is what's important to me. And if you don't like what you see, if you're spending too much money on alcohol or clothing or cars or whatever it is, then allow that to be your opportunity to pursue something else like minimalism, which allows you to focus on people and experiences other than stuff.
That's great. Do you have like a story from your life where you were spending a lot on certain area and how you changed your behavior or habit, and how this, turned into a saving account or increase in financial independence, especially that you said that you left your corporate job and you had responsibilities and you had a cut in the paycheck, instant cut, and you had the entrepreneur lifestyle with zero income at the beginning. So how did you change share with us a story
Sure.
where you changed a habit and how its impact was on your financial lifestyle?
Well, food is the obvious one, in that when I was working and I was going, one, I'm saving a lot of money on commuting by working from home. My commute is about 10 seconds from upstairs downstairs, which is wonderful. I love that. Don't have to pay for car, bus, or anything. So that just cuts out about $1,000 a year right there. But from a food perspective, I used to go out to eat all the time with my coworkers or just for myself. It would cost $10 to get a cheeseburger and some fries and some other things. Things that weren't necessarily very good for me from a health perspective, but separate from the health impact, the financial impact of not spending $10 to $12 on lunch 3 times a week, and instead I'm now spending about $1.50. And yes, in a spreadsheet I have calculated exactly how much each of my meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner cost me. But I'm saving roughly $8 to $10 a day over 200 plus work days a year. So that's over $2,000 in food costs that I've saved as a result of shifting from relying on other people to provide me with food. Now, whether it's a salad with, well, I won't get into what I put on my salad. People probably don't care too much about that. Or buying a part of a cow in bulk and putting it in a freezer so that I'm saving a lot of money on meat. There's a number of different ways that you can do that. But I think one of the easiest places, in addition to clothing, that people can save their money on is in food, and being self-reliant to make yourself things from scratch, which is also healthier. But from a budgetary perspective, you can save oodles and oodles of money just by putting together something. And it takes less time to put together your own meals than to walk somewhere or drive somewhere and order, wait for your food, get your food, and then go back to wherever it was that you're going to eat it or eat it there. You save a lot of money and time by making your own food and being very conscious about what decisions you're making with your food.
Awesome, that's great. So now we have talked about three things on how simplicity meets passion or enables passion. We talked about the clarity part. When you have more room, more space, you have more clarity. And we talked about the financial part, saving money and increasing your financial independence. And we talked about the great part, which is joining a community where people meet and share experiences and inspiration and insights. And this is the simple revolution or revival, as you called it. So do you have any final thought for us before we end the call today?
Yeah. Pursue your personal version of simplicity. You've heard me talk, and maybe something's resonated, maybe it hasn't. But all of these people who tell you that there is a specific brand of anything, whether it's simplicity or financial independence or travel or whatever it may be that's going to work for you, make sure that you test those assumptions, that as you start to pursue something, whether it's leading an intentional life or minimalism or simplicity or anything else, make sure that it's yours. And the easiest way to figure out whether you're pursuing something because you want to do it or you feel like you need to do it, as opposed to when someone else is doing it, I found just close your eyes, make a statement, and then close your eyes for 5 seconds and just reflect upon it. If you do that, you can normally figure out in 2 to 3 seconds whether that rings true and whether that's something internally that you believe in, or whether maybe that's a seed that somebody else has planted in your brain. So I would say, whether it's on a simple journey or at Simple Rev or anything else, just make sure that you're constantly questioning why it is that you're going down a certain path, and closing your eyes for 5 seconds, making a statement, and then seeing how it works internally is a great way to do it.
Wow, the why before everything. Now let's remind people again with the date of your revolution. When will it start?
Yeah. Oh boy, it's going to be exciting. And I haven't mentioned that yet. There's going to be lots of serious stuff that people are going to be talking about at Simple Rev, and we'll be talking about community and influence and workshops and all these things, but it's going to be seriously fun. October 3rd and 4th, 2014, in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the United States of America. We have an awesome facility, the University of St. Thomas. It seemed very appropriate to have an institution of learning be the venue for communicating skills and sharing stories. So if anyone's interested in learning more about Simple Rev, they can go to simplerev.com, simplerev.com. It would be great if you sign up for the mailing list, where we're communicating a lot of information, and we'll give access to early bird tickets and all of the other facets. But most importantly, not everybody can attend Simple Rev, and not everybody wants to attend Simple Rev. We would just love, we being the community, the Simplicity community, would just love your support, whether that's answering a survey, whether that's liking a Facebook page, whatever that looks like to you. We're grateful for anything that you can do to help our collective mission, which is to see simplicity and passion collide in really cool ways, which is going to happen at Simple Rev.
Wow, I can't wait for that date, and I'm sure it's going to be big. Thank you very much, Joel, for being my guest today and for sharing your insights. Great as usual. Value of Simple is your blog. Great blog, great articles, great content as usual. Thank you very much, my friend. I hope to see you again when you launch the revolution.
Thanks for having me. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. Bye. People. So to balance this feeling, it's not about the stuff, it's about the joy, the enjoyment. So we are talking passion here. What do you love to do? What do you enjoy to do? So tell us from your life, how did you discover your passion about simplicity and about, you have some financial background as well. So how did you find your passion basically? And how
Yeah.
did simple living enable that passion more and more?
It did. I don't have a singular passion. I have passions, of which simplicity is way up towards the top. Yeah,
Yeah,
external, internal. That's a big
yeah.
thing for me. Maybe we'll get into some of that.
Yes, definitely we will. Now, let me ask you, how did you discover your passion? And, we were just talking about simplicity. The Simple Living blogosphere is promoting the message of getting rid of stuff, don't focus on stuff, focus on your life more, and so on. And then when you hear the tips and advice on how to simplify your life, it goes back to the stuff again. You have to get rid of your stuff and so on. So the focus is shifted back to the stuff and it overwhelms.
I used to work for over a decade in corporate America. I worked for in the financial industry and dealing with lots of people's money. So it was, I get home and I'm working to make money, and then I'm at work and it's all about other people's money, and it's just money, money, money all the time. And I realized in about April 2010, when my wife Melinda told me that she was pregnant with our first son Grant, that I was 30 years old and I really didn't have any kind of legacy. And I wanted to do something valuable to somebody other than me or my immediate community. So what I needed to do, I didn't know it at the time, but after about
Hello everyone, this is Muhammad Tuhami from Midway Simplicity, and welcome to a new episode of the Midway Simplicity Show. And the theme of this show in 2014 is where passion meets simplicity. How passion can lead to simple living and how simple living can enable passion. And my very special guest and friend today is Joel Zaslofsky from Value of Simple. And he has a big surprise today to talk about. He is making kind of a revolution in the simple living sphere. He will turn it upside down and sideways. So we will talk about that definitely. But before that, let me welcome Joel. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Tohami, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thanks.
Upside down. Hopefully, I won't turn it inside out. Although I am all about turning some things inside out, from the physical to the internal.